He was among the supporters who spoke in favor of Florida's loosening of child labor protections on Wednesday.
It's up to the kid to know their limitations.
Specifically, this bill removes...
It's up to the kids to know their limitations.
Oh, my goodness.
That's dangerous. Wait, hold up. Wait. Oh, so, wait. It's up to the kids to know their limitations.
Not the employer who tells the kid what to do. You know, the kid, the 16-year-old has to put their foot down if they're being pushed too hard, man. You know what? I know my limitations. No more work. This is where I draw the line. What? That poor kid is just being utilized.
It's up to the kids to know their limitations. Look, that is something that should be taken within reason. Because somebody can say, well, you know, a 14-year-old can date a 30-year-old. The kids should know their limitations. They know their limitations. Is that what you're good? Where's the line? You know? Oh, well, I should be able to work at a meatpacking plant even though I'm 13. I know my limitations. I should be able to work for DuPont Chemicals. I know my limitations. I'm 15. Eddie, boy, you need to come down here and put me in that sleeper hole, bro, because I'm telling you, it's going down here in Florida. So let me share this with you guys on More Perfect Union. And if you guys don't follow them, I suggest you do give them a follow. They put out great tweets regarding labor issues. It says a bill allowing children as young as 16 to work in construction, one of America's most dangerous industries for workers, has just passed a Florida Senate committee. This is the second bill Florida Republicans have pushed so far this year to erode centuries-old child labor laws. So Florida's anti-immigrant law passed last year, SB 1718, has exacerbated a labor shortage in construction. SB 460, a bill written by the Builders Lobby, would replace those workers with kids.
Wow.
Yeah. During the hearings, GOP Senator Corey Simon wasn't able to answer who would cover the medical expense of an uninsured 16-year-old who was hurt on the job. Children working in construction sites are 6 times as likely to be injured on the job as kids working other jobs. Let's take this a look.
So I'm looking at as pertains to the medical treatment expenses if a child is injured on the job. So just looking at some questions that I just kind of want to ask based off the reading. If we have a 16 or 17-year-old uninsured child is injured on the job while working on one of these scaffoldings or a roof or substructure, who is responsible for paying the child's medical expenses if they and their families are uninsured?
Thank you for the question. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question. I will consult with Bill but I do believe it's the responsibility of the employer, just like any other staffer that's working on the job.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Chair Salmon. And I don't know if you, there's a New York Times article that I had the opportunity to take a look at that spoke about that found that contractors and subcontractors often refuse to pay the medical bills when someone is hurt on the job. Were you aware of that?
Senator Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, sir, I'm not.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Jones.
So if that's the case, how will children injured on the job who are not insured and whose contractors refuse to pay their workers' comp or the medical bill have access to medical care if they need it?
Senator Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to work with you and making sure that those provisions are tight and making sure that those kids are taken care of just like every other employer on the job site.
Here's my problem. As anybody knows, and I know you know, Eddie, is that insurance does risk assessment. And by such, they know that it is more riskier for kids to be on construction sites than it is for adults. By that very notion, there will be children who are 16 and 17-year-olds that will have accidents, which means that the insurance companies will have to pay out more often for kids than they do with adults. So they're going to deny these kids insurance, period, because they don't want to have to pay that out. That being said, then these kids are going to be underinsured or uninsured. So by that very notion, because private insurance company, their goal is to make money. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. So they're not going to want to insure these kids. So how do you insure these kids when it comes to medical care if and when they have these accidents on the job?
That's exactly where my head went. I worked concrete for a summer, and there was an 18-year-old on the job who smoked himself in the head with a concrete form, and he was bleeding and had to go to the hospital. And that's just the stuff that's more likely to happen if you have 16-year-olds on a concrete site. It's dangerous work. It's hard work. You're going to have that. So like the idea that we can have 16-year-olds on these job sites that aren't covered at all is unreal, because, you know, you could get hurt and get slapped with a $40,000 medical bill as a 16-year-old that your employer isn't willing to pay for. And so, I mean, that's a really good line of attack here from this senator. But I mean, the fact that we have that we're pushing for 16-year-olds on construction sites in general is absurd. Like, I'm not against young people learning construction and learning, you know, these skills and building, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to get 16-year-olds in the workforce so they can maximize their profit, so they can pay them $11 an hour to do hard concrete work, and make a bunch of profit off it. And it shows, like, when I did the Jubilee debate recently, capitalism versus communism, the capitalists were trying to tell me that capitalism is what abolished child labor. It's like, no, class struggle is what abolished child labor. The capitalists loved child labor. They were making bank off it until the workers got together and said, no, you're not going to throw our kids in the factory anymore. But now, after 40 plus years of neoliberalism, and the ruling class taking back all the power that the organized working class had gained over the years, you see the return of child labor. It's just the natural progression. A more unregulated system of capitalism means more children in the workplace.
Yeah, it's just like when Majin Buu in Dragon Ball Z reverted back to his most evil form. Like, that's what capitalism does.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me continue and share this. It says, as several opponents pointed out, the bill might also violate the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. Through an amendment and height requirements eliminated some roofing work, the FLSA prohibits minors from working in roofing and any work performed on or about a roof. It says SB 460 is part of a coordinated effort in Florida and elsewhere to erode centuries-old labor laws that ensure kids have a fair shot at an education and aren't exploited at work. It says the sponsor of another bill, 16-year-olds aren't kids but youth workers. So that's a bunch of BS. It says okay, so that was the end. Sorry. But there was also this video that I also found. This thing keeps shrinking. It's okay. I'm about to go into this. So there was this video that I wanted to share as well.
Well, a bill weakening Florida.
Don't go ahead of me, man. All right. So let's share this.
At the state capitol, a bill weakening Florida's child labor laws is now making progress in the state legislature. It cleared its first committee hearing on Wednesday, but its future remains uncertain. For 16-year-old employees like Logan Schulenberger, House Bill 49 is an opportunity.
I'm trying to get in the workforce, it's more experience.
This is a 16-year-old?
Looks like an adult.
Wait, what did they feed this kid? This is a 16. Wait, that's a grown ass man. That ain't no 16-year-old. He got a chin of a 29-year-old. Good God, man. Feed 544. I'm like, what? Are you sure that's not a 16-year-old?
Are they going to bring this kid on and just have him say, like, I want to work? And are they going to say, look, it's good for kids to have them in construction jobs?
Aw, Eddie, you ruined the surprise.
I'm too good at sniffing out the propaganda at this point, I guess.
Yup. Let's watch it.
Experience you have, the more likely you are to get hired in the future, right?
He was among the supporters who spoke in favor of Florida's loosening of child labor protections on Wednesday.
It's up to the kid to know their limitations.
Specifically, this bill removes...
It's up to the kids to know their limitations.
Oh, my goodness.
That's dangerous. Wait, hold up. Wait. Oh, so, wait. It's up to the kids to know their limitations.
Not the employer who tells the kid what to do. The kid, the 16-year-old has to put their foot down if they're being pushed too hard, man. You know what? I know my limitations. No more work. This is where I draw the line. What? That poor kid is just being utilized.
It's up to the kids to know their limitations. Look, that is something that should be taken within reason. Because somebody can say, well, a 14-year-old can date a 30-year-old. The kids should know their limitations. They know their limitations. Is that what you're going? Where's the line? Oh, well, I should be able to work at a meatpacking plant even though I'm 13. I know my limitations. I should be able to work for DuPont Chemicals. I know my limitations. I'm 15. Eddie, boy, you need to come down here and put me in that sleeper hole, bro, because I'm telling you.
Specifically, this bill removes current curfew restrictions on 16 and 17-year-olds, letting them work before 6:30 a.m., after 11 p.m., more than 30 hours a week, plus on days before class.
Plus on days before class? Oh.
Here to go.
It also removes mandated 30-minute breaks after 4 hours of continuous work and limits city and county governments from circumventing the standards.
This does align us with the federal law and 24 other states, mostly blue liberal states.
Rep. Linda Cheney listed the reasons she's pushing the policy, saying it'll help bolster Florida's workforce, keep hazardous work restrictions in place, and grant kids who want to work a chance to do so.
They want to work. This bill gets government out of their way to choose the path that is best for them.
There were plenty opposed to the idea, teens included.
We do not want minors who go into high school working 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. How are they going to function at school?
Democrats tried in vain to water down the proposed changes, but lacked the votes to make it happen.
No, the amendment fails.
In debate, those members warned approval would hurt kids more than help.
We just recently passed a law having the school day starting later because teenagers need more sleep. I don't see how this bill helps that.
I really do encourage us to let kids be kids, which is a phrase that my colleagues have loved to use these past several years. And I don't understand why now they're a youth worker. They're not a kid anymore.
HB
Right.
49 still has a long way
That's
to go.
such a good point too, because Republicans have been saying let kids be kids. You know, when it comes to social issues, but when it comes to throwing kids in the workplace, no, kids are wage laborers now. And I mean, this is just class struggle. If you read the what's the name? I can't think of the chapter in Marx's Capital. It might be the chapter on class struggle. He just goes through in England how there are all these debates in the courts, and the working class is, you know, fighting to get kids out of the workplace and get lower hours and get higher pay. And the ruling class is fighting in the courts to get kids in the workplace and get lower pay. And this is just that in modern day. It's a class struggle in the battleground of the courts, of the legal system, and the ruling class, the capitalist class, is winning over the working class in Florida right now.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Let's continue, man.
Before it even gets close to the governor's desk, but momentum before session suggests it'll continue to move when lawmakers gavel in next month.
Now, here's something to keep in mind. This policy does not have a Senate companion bill just yet, and the Senate President, Kathleen Passidomo, a fellow Republican, told us recently she's unsure what to make of the idea. She said she'd probably be more supportive if the bill didn't go quite as far. That's the latest out here at the state capitol.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So that's what's happening here in Florida. They're literally trying to get rid of child labor laws so that they could have more teenagers work. And I actually reported on the law that was passed by Ron DeSantis, making it so that undocumented workers would be essentially deported if they were found working, especially in construction and things like that, because that's what a lot of them were doing. And so when that happened, then next thing you know, construction projects stopped here in Florida. They were like, yeah, we're not working. We're not doing this because we're not going to risk being deported. And now they don't want to pay a competitive living wage. So now they're like, okay, let's get the kids to do it. Instead of actually paying a competitive living wage and getting adults like you and me so that we can actually work in these industries, no, we still don't want to pay those wages, so we're just going to get the kids to do it for us instead.
Exactly. That's all it is.
See, this is why, number one, worker solidarity is so important. Number two, we got to advocate for workers, including kids, because forcing them to work in these conditions is also anti-worker, because a lot of them are not conditioned or ready for this type of work. Now, I am all for them doing things that are more age appropriate type of work. Like if you want to, you know, like a 16, 17-year-old working as a barista, okay, cool, right? As long as you also pay them a living wage, and then you also allow them time to be able to have enough rest, and so it doesn't interfere with education, because that's also important. Education is also very important for the proletariat. So they want to interfere with that, and then they want kids to work starvation wages. No, absolutely not. So I think that's important. I think, you know, part of that is also making sure that, yes, if you think let kids be kids, all right, in this case, let kids be kids. Let them get their education so that they can be a well-educated proletariat, so that when they do get in construction, once they're 18, 19, 20 years old, then they have the skills, because they didn't have to wake up at work from midnight to 6 a.m. before school like a slave.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I also say it's important that we built worker solidarity and joining organizations. Just like what Kwame Ture said, make sure to join organizations. I think that's important. Here in Orlando, I mean, of course, we have the RBN Orlando chapter. There's also Orlando Mutual Aid chapter. They're doing great work. There's also Real Orlando. They're doing great work. They also are feeding homeless people down here. There's also different organizations around the country. And I just want to use this time to encourage people. If you are in another city or another state, look up other organizations, especially ones that are anti-imperialist, that are doing work on the ground to help build up class solidarity within your area, because that is what's going to help us change this nation so that we won't have to worry about child labor laws being pulled back. Eddie?
Absolutely. I agree. Join an organization, get involved on the ground, educate people. Because worker solidarity is how we fight back. You know, that's the message of that chapter in Marx's Capital I brought up earlier about class struggle, is that the only way to fight back against stuff like this is to get organized. But once we do get organized, we have the power, because they rely on our labor and we rely on them for nothing. So
thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.